Have you ever been having a conversation and someone says something, just like a slight criticism or maybe feedback, and it just sets you off? One of the most powerful things I've learned about ADHD has to do with emotional dysregulation, specifically having to do with criticism or rejection. There's a term popularized by Dr. William Dodson, which is rejection sensitive dysphoria. Now, this isn't something you can be diagnosed with or anything like that, but it's a label that sort of describes this really common feeling, this experience that a lot of people with ADHD are familiar with. And that feeling is having this kind of extreme reaction to criticism, rejection, somebody withdrawing like love or respect. And it almost like it cuts so deep, those criticisms, like it can feel like a deep betrayal. And a lot of the time, the way we feel doesn't really seem to match up with people around us. Like people think like they barely said anything. Maybe they didn't even criticize us. We just took it the wrong way and perceived that it was a criticism. But the feeling we get is real. Like we feel deep pain. This feeling is so sudden, it just sort of hits you, and then out of nowhere, you're deeply insulted or hurt, or you feel like deeply betrayed by this person, and you're like, how could they even say that? You don't even have time to think. Like the effect is so sudden. And a lot of times this turns into you sort of erupting in rage and anger, or maybe you're the type of person where you just sort of burst into tears. It cuts so deep that you can't even contain the emotion anymore. And some others may take it and just bottle it up inside, like just feel devastated and almost like they completely shut down. And this sense of rejection, this deep, intense emotional feeling that you have, it can send you to a really negative place, almost like your brain is almost in a panic. Like, how could they have said that? How could this be happening right now? What do I even do about it? And your reaction may seem so extreme to people around you. And even you, when you look back later, you're like, wow, I really exploded there. How did that happen? But your reaction really does match the way you feel inside. That intense feeling inside is real, and you are responding to it. Dr. William Dodson has said, the pain from rejection sensitive dysphoria is so primitive and overwhelming that people struggle to find any words to describe it. They can talk about its intensity, awful, terrible, catastrophic, and cannot find the words to convey the quality of the emotional pain. And these extreme responses can have a number of effects. Some of us end up becoming people pleasers because we're so fearful of that experience of having that feeling again. So we go over the top, bending over backwards, trying to make sure that anyone in our lives is pleased and happy with us so that they can't find any fault to point out. And so much of your energy gets spent trying to maintain this facade of being this perfect person, trying to avoid any possible criticism. And some people even become overachievers because they're trying to make it to where, look, I'm doing so good at these things, there's no way you can find a fault. Others may withdraw completely, hiding from social situations, abandoning goals, trying to keep themselves hidden so that nothing can be seen, therefore nothing can be criticized. So this is brutal. This can really damage your life. I know I've lost jobs because of this. Like a boss said something to me, criticized something, and it was probably a slight thing. They were probably giving me a compliment sandwich. They were probably saying something positive and then something negative. And that one negative thing, for whatever reason, hit me wrong and just sort of set me off. And I did something that I regretted, and time to find another job for Jesse. And this can really damage our relationships. I find that my rejection sensitive dysphoria seems to be stronger with the people I care about a lot. When I feel that rejection of love from somebody that I care about, it cuts so deep. It feels like this deep betrayal. And I find myself thinking like, how could you do this to me? This is so painful. What could I have possibly done to lose your love? So what can we do about it? Let's look at some strategies. One thing we can do is labeling it as rejection sensitive dysphoria. Knowing the label, knowing the name helps us to identify it in the moment, and we can see whether the feeling that we're having inside is a realistic reaction to something that actually happened, or if it's our rejection sensitive dysphoria blowing it out of proportion. In my experience, knowing that it's RSD does not make the feeling go away. In the moment, I feel it so deeply. So I can recognize it and say, this is the RSD happening right now, but that doesn't make it go away. But it can help you get perspective and slow down reacting. When you're able to recognize that it's rejection sensitive dysphoria, in the moment, you can recognize, okay, the way I feel and the way I want to respond is probably more extreme then is valid. And related with that, another strategy you can do is create space. So once you recognize that this is likely what's happening, create space to sort of separate yourself from the situation. Now, this space can be a few minutes or maybe even a couple hours, but usually not more than that. I found that when I've had rejection sensitive dysphoria and then some time passes, I look back and I see pretty clearly like, oh man, my reaction didn't really match up. Or, oh, I think I misunderstood what they said, and now I have to go back and try to clean up the situation. Or maybe I didn't misunderstand them, but I just thought it was more extreme than it really was. In the past, I've been having, a heated discussion with my wife, and I recognized that she said something and it gave me that rejection sensitive dysphoria. It gave me that extreme feeling, and I wanted to respond, but I recognized it in the moment. Again, it did not make the feeling go away. Knowing what it was didn't make the feeling lessen, but because I could identify it, I was able to say, can we meet again in like 20 minutes? I'm feeling what I think is rejection sensitive dysphoria, and I think I need to just chill so that we can talk about this rationally. Now, that's not how I said it. I said it through gritted teeth because I was so angry in the moment, but creating space works. It lets like the rational brain kind of catch up and realize like, oh, maybe they didn't mean it this way, or maybe they didn't mean it as extremely as I thought they did. There wasn't really the betrayal that I thought it was. Another strategy is to remember the past relationship, trying to recall, what does my history with this person look like? And does it make sense that they would purposefully cause the pain that I'm feeling right now? Now, this doesn't always work. Some relationships are just toxic, but a lot of the time I find that the evidence just doesn't add up. When I take that time to reflect on my history with somebody, like, it doesn't make sense that they would be causing me the pain I feel right now on purpose. So I must be misunderstanding, because it's unlikely that they are intentionally stabbing me in the chest the way it feels. A final strategy is reducing stress in your life. Now, I know this is not a simple solution. It's barely even a strategy, but I think it's worth pointing out that when you neglect your physical and your mental health, it can cause those negative reactions to become accelerated. So we're more likely to jump to those negative conclusions and to respond more extremely and more negatively. So when you're experiencing a lot of that rejection sensitive dysphoria, it can be worthwhile to take time to consider the rest of your life. Like, am I setting up an environment that makes me more likely to respond in those extreme ways, which then causes a mess that I have to later go and clean up? Thank you for watching. I hope you found this helpful and informative. If you want to support this channel and the other work that I do, you can subscribe, click all the things, share with your friends, or you can also support me at patreon.com/JesseJ. If you want to learn more about rejection sensitive dysphoria, I've linked a lot of great resources below, videos and articles by people probably smarter than me. Thanks again. Stay focused.